Chapter 4. Due to the restaurant-like setup of the Brass Prep Senior Lounge, Jared, Manny, and their crew, Kyle Berkeley, Tyler Klepp, and Blake Benson, don't see Justice sitting in the back booth when they come in. True to form, Jared disregards Doc's "everything stays in this room" directive, and since he's obviously under the impression that he and his bros have the lounge to themselves, he doesn't bother to keep his voice down once the five of them are seated. Jared, can you believe that asshole? What kind of teacher has the nerve to suggest there's racial inequality to a classroom full of millennials? Seriously, bro? He said that shit? Jared, I kid you not, bro. The dean should fire his ass. I seriously might have my dad give the school a call. Tyler, damn, homie. Jared, and of course SJ jumped right on it. I think the fact that her mom has to constantly defend all those thugs is starting to screw with her head. Blake, Tyler, and Kyle laugh. Manny laughs belatedly. Jared, if you ask me, she wants Justice to pop her little cherry. Kyle, well, seeing as you never did it. Jared, shut up. We were in 8th grade. Blake, you still totally want to tap that, bro. Kyle, too late though. If Justice is your competition, you're screwed, dog. Once you go black, right, Manny? Manny snorts. Tyler, too bad for SJ. Justice has his hands full with Mello Taylor. Literally. Jared, which makes no sense to me, bro. What the hell does a hottie like Mello Taylor see in a guy who can't afford a Happy Meal? Manny, maybe it's not about money, Jay. Jared, says the dude who drives a Range Rover. Blake, Kyle, and Tyler laugh. Manny, dog, what is it with you today? Jared, I'm just sick of people suggesting African Americans still have it so hard these days. I don't care what SJ says, Manny. Your parents are totally proof that things are equal now. Blake, they really are. Jared, right here, right now, on these red hills of Georgia, a son of former slaves and sons of former slave owners are sitting down at the table brotherhood, dude. The dream has been realized. Tyler, damn, bro. That was really poetic. Manny, that's from the I Have a Dream speech, T. Jared, remember, bro? I had to memorize that shit for our 8th grade heritage play. Blake, that's right. Token black guy over here got sick or something, right? Jared, exactly. Kyle, you had one job, Manny. Manny, shut up, fool. Jared, I still remember the whole speech. Manny, that wasn't the whole speech, Jay. Jared, whatever. It was the most important part, and I remember all of it. They put brown makeup on me and everything. Blake, I remember that, dude. You totally got a standing ovation. Kyle, see, things really are equal nowadays, bro. A white kid can play a famous black dude in a play, and it's no big deal. Jared, exactly. This is a colorblind society, my brethren. People are judged by the content of their character instead of the color of their skin. Kyle, right, dude. Like I totally don't even see you as black, Manny. Manny laughs at this, but Justice can tell his heart isn't in it. The statement makes Justice think about those handcuffs. These fools might not see Manny as black, but Justice knows damn well the police would. Jared, my brothers, let us raise our Perrier bottles to equality. Blake, equality. Tyler, equality. Kyle, hell yeah, dude, equality. Jared, Manny, you with us, bro? Everyone. Manny, course I am, bro. Equality. Clink. September 18th. Dear Martin, I just got back to school after an impromptu trip to the hood. Putting all my cards on the table, I went home with the intention of just staying there forever, which is extreme, I know. When I got there, Mama was curled up on the couch with her nose buried in How Stella Got Her Groove Back. Just seeing her reading, something she worked hard to teach me to do, I knew I'd be on the bus back to school before the evening was over. What you doing here, boy? It's a school night, was the first thing she said, without looking up from the book. Can't I drop in to see my dear old mom when I'm missing her? Who you calling old? That made me laugh. You gonna tell me what's really going on? She closed the book and put it to the side then. I dropped my bag with a sigh. Just been a rough few weeks. Come on over here and sit down. In all honesty, I didn't want to. Sit down is mama code for spit it out, and I would have preferred to get my big toe shot off than talk about the stuff I was trying to escape. But Mama being Mama, and possibly psychic, she pulled it right out of me. This about that cop in them handcuffs? I dropped down beside her. Little bit. I keep thinking about how much worse it could have gone. That non-indictment in the Carson case got you shook, huh? Yeah. We had this discussion in class today, and I don't know, Ma. Everything I'm doing right now feels like a losing battle. She nodded. Hard being a black man, ain't it? I shrugged. Guess that's one way to put it. All I know is I can't seem to find where I fit, especially at that school. It's just like I've been there my whole high school career, and I still feel like an outsider, you know? We were talking about the Declaration of Independence, and all I could think was how Shamar Carson was straight up denied his inalienable rights. It really bugged me out. It should have. I did the math when I got back to my room. There were 192 years between the Declaration of Independence and the end of all that Jim Crow stuff. Now we're over a decade into the 21st century, and I know from experience people like me are still getting shafted. Mama nodded. Mm-hmm. Sitting there listening to this rich white boy brag about breaking the law after I sat in handcuffs for no reason? I can't even tell you how hard that was, Ma. It's like no matter what I do, I can't win. She crossed her arms and lifted her chin, and that's when I knew there'd be no sympathy. So what's she gonna do? Run away? I sighed. I don't know, Mama. You think coming back here will solve your problem? At least I'd be around people who know the struggle. She snorted. Boy, you better get your behind up to that school. But Ma, don't but Ma me, Justice. I don't fit there, though, Mama. I've been telling you since you were small that you gotta make a place for yourself in this world, she said. You thought I was playing? I sighed again. You ever consider that maybe you're not supposed to fit? People who make history rarely do. Here we go with this making history thing again. Goodbye, Justice. I didn't raise you to punk out when the going gets rough. Get on out of here. She picked up her book. Dang, I can't even get a hug? Something to eat? You know where the kitchen is. You can get a hug on your way out. See what I deal with, Martin? On the return trip, it really hit me hard. She's right. There's really nowhere to run. Well, it's been hard processing my arrest, Castillo's death, the Carson case, dealing with fools like Jared and them on the daily without getting discouraged. When it comes down to it, I don't really have an alternative but to keep going, do I? I'll tell you the hardest thing for me today. Sitting in the lounge listening to Manny agree with those fools. Granted, I could tell his heart wasn't in it, but still. I'll be candid with you. Sometimes it really bugs me that Manny spends so much time with those guys. I know he's known them forever and it's none of my business, but it's hard to see my boy hang out with dudes who are blatantly disrespectful to our people. Who puts a little kid in blackface? And then he doesn't say anything about it. I guess it's possible it doesn't bother him, but to hear him agree that things are equal when he knows about my incident, well, I'm kind of mad about that if you want the truth. I've been trying to figure out what you would have done if you'd been in my shoes today. I know you lived in a world where black folks were hosed and beaten and jailed and killed while fighting for equal rights, but you still managed to be, dignified and everything. How did you do that, Martin? How do I do that? There are people who don't see a man with rights when they look at me, and I'm not real sure how to deal with that. Being treated the way I was, and then hearing Jared insist there's not a problem, and then hearing Manny agree with him, it sucks, Martin. It really does. So what do I do now? How do I handle people like Jared? Arguing obviously won't work. Do I just ignore him? But what does that solve, Martin? I want to put my best foot forward, as Mama would say. That's what you did. Just gotta figure out how. Time to knock out some of this homework. Hopefully I can focus. Thanks for hearing me out. Justice. Chapter 5. The minute Jared, Kyle, Tyler, and Blake step into Manny's basement, it's clear Jared's equality brigade was a terrible idea. In the month and a half since the racial equality discussion in Socio Evo, Jared's been on a crusade to prove things in America are equal. Last week, he told Manny and his crew about this brilliant-ass idea he had. Bros, he said, let's all dress as different stereotypes for Halloween and then go out together. It'll be this massive political statement about racial equality and broken barriers and shit. Dude even asked Justice to participate. Jus, of course, wasn't real keen at first, but he let Manny talk him into it. He's regretting that now. 5 of the 6 costumes are mostly fine. Justice the Thug, naturally. Pants belted around his thighs with boxers exposed, Thug Life t-shirt, thick gold chain with a huge medallion, fitted flat-billed baseball cap. He and Manny even made a grill out of a gum wrapper for Just to wear on his bottom teeth. Manny's the token black guy, khakis, loafers, and polo with a cable knit sweater draped over his shoulders and tied loosely at the chest. He's really into it, too. As soon as he was dressed, he starts calling Just old chap and my good man. Jared's the yuppie/politician. He's wearing a suit, even has a spot on his chin where he nicked himself shaving and left the little piece of tissue there for effect. Tyler's the surfer dude, board shorts and a tank top even though it's only 50 degrees out. Kyle went with the redneck, woodland camouflage shirt, overalls, trucker hat with Confederate flag patch, dingy cowboy boots. He even had his sister attach a few of her hair extensions so he has a mullet. Frankly, this one is towing the line, but okay. Not quite crossing it. Blake, though? Blake takes it too far. He's dressed as a Klansman. He's got on the white robe with the circular red and white cross patch on the chest, and he even has the pointed hood with the eye holes cut out. If Just didn't know it was a costume, he'd be a little scared. Jay, can I talk to you for a sec, dog? Manny says to Jared, who, to Justice's surprise, also seems pretty uncomfortable with Blake's choice of attire. Sure, man. They walk to Manny's room, and Justice is left standing with the others. Justice, that costume is sick, homie, Blake says, because a Klansman would definitely call a black guy homie. Just fights the urge to shake his head. Yours is, wait till I put the hood on, bro. This right here is the genuine article. He spreads his arms, beaming like he's wrapped in a garment formerly worn by Jesus. Justice is tempted to ask where the genuine article came from, but he's not sure he wants to know the answer. Just then, Jared reappears. Hey, Justice. Manny wants to talk to you, bro. Justice nods and takes the deepest breath he's ever taken, then strides to Manny's room with 8 white boy eyes burning into him like lasers. Yeah, this blows. Sup, dog, Just says once he steps in and closes Manny's door, though of course he already knows what it's about. So Blake's costume is, well, you saw it. Just snorts. I did. If you, Manny scratches his neck. Don't want to go anymore. It's cool, Manny. Manny's thick eyebrows jump to the sky. It is? Yeah, man. Truth is, 4 hours ago, Just was ready to back out just because the idea of going anywhere with Jared and crew just felt wrong, knowing what he knows about how they think. But then he stumbled upon Martin's definition of integration, intergroup and interpersonal living, and decided to just go with it. He's not sure this is exactly what Martin meant, but what is he supposed to say? You ready to go, dog? Oh, Manny clears his throat. I guess so. Let's roll then. Just leaves the room. It's just a costume, right? Brotherhood for the win. And so as Just and Manny get back to the others, Jared takes a bunch of group pictures and posts them online. Then he says, Equality Brigade, let's ride, and leads the charge to the door. When they get to Manny's car and Blake pulls on the hood and raises his arms in a Nazi salute, Justice knows the train he just hopped on is headed downhill in a major way. It occurs to him that the moment he said he was cool with the whole thing, he cut the brake lines and completely surrendered his power to stop it. And he's right. Not 5 minutes after they get to the party, somebody sucker punches Blake in the face. The burst of bright red beneath the eye holes in his pointed hood makes Justice sick to his stomach. The next thing he knows, there's a group of genuinely thugged out black dudes, and one white guy standing in front of the Equality Brigade, looking like they want to break all of their stereotype faces. The worst part? Justice knows every single one of them. They live in his mom's neighborhood. This is Manny's cousin's crew. Just is pretty sure they all belong to a gang called the Black Jihad, run by a crazy older dude named Martell Montgomery. A dark-skinned guy with short dreadlocks gives Just a once-over and smiles. That's a real funny costume, Justice. Oh, thanks, Trey. Definitely not Justice's most valiant moment. And you, Trey says to Manny, you Quan cousin, right? Yeah, Manny says, scratching the back of his neck. The fuck y'all doing here with these ass clowns, bruh? Just gonna let your boy disrespect our people like that? Trey points to Blake, who has